So many of women's health problems literally come down to men. Migraines too. So this just came out in the New York Times. So thank you for your comment and for sharing, and I'm so sorry. So I wish that they would make a more direct link between women's health and the men that they have to deal with. It's not always men. Sometimes it's just an abusive partner or your, even a roommate, right? But in a lot of marriages, heterosexual marriages, the women who are sick with autoimmune disease, have constant migraines, have all kinds of or like me with my throat issues, or like inexplicable illnesses or whatever. Irritable bowel syndrome, anything going on with the gut. So much of that comes down to the stress of dealing with men. And this article kind of goes into it, but it's still not enough. So according to this research, women were nearly 3 times as likely as men to report being bothered a lot by like migraines and headaches. Now, what they've been doing for a really long time, and this is actually true, is blaming it on hormones, right? And I know that there's validity to this. One of my family members had crazy migraines for a really long time and then started tracking her period and realized that it was absolutely tied to estrogen or whatever, all that stuff that happens, right? But as they say here, this doesn't explain all headache. Like the discrepancy starts to happen around puberty, but by the time women are adults or whatever, they're 2 to 3 times as likely as men to suffer from migraines. And y'all know migraines are like debilitating. It's not just a little headache. It's like have to stay in a dark room, can't do anything level headache. Now it says that these type of headaches usually hit women hardest in their 30s because it's an especially demanding time in life. And then it goes on to say because, which is terrible timing because that's usually when women are the most is being demanded of them. Although I would argue that it actually gets worse with age. 40s, if we're not taking care of kids, we're taking care of our parents, we're taking care of our friends, we're taking care of our friends who are married to awful men. We're just always taking care of people. Women never get a day off unless they have a lot of money and then they're still doing emotional labor, right? Which is considered worthless to men. And yet they rely on it so heavily. But as they say here, they're starting to realize that this discrepancy has a little bit more to do with stress. And it's not all just hormonal. And it's, it's like the stress at work, it's social, families, all that stuff, right? And then when it talks about tension headaches, there's almost no evidence that is actually based on hormones. So what could be causing it if it's not hormones? So then when they talk about men's headaches, look what their headaches are attributed to. When men have headache problems, it's usually because they're heavy smokers or drinkers, which they tend to rely more on than women. And men, when they are having headache problems, it's usually the treatment is maybe you shouldn't be so dehydrated or rely on meds and alcohol as much. I.e., take care of yourself, bro. Drink water instead of beer. And stop with your escapism crap and self-mutilating behavior through substances, which makes you unavailable for the woman who is running your whole household because you can't show up because you won't take care of yourself when you do things for escapism. And so now she has double the problems, hence the migraines. To me, it is like a no-brainer. Where all these headaches are coming from. But maybe it's the hormones. Okay, it is partly. But I'd argue almost all of our ailments come down to stress. And where is that stress coming from? Men. And patriarchy in general that burdens women with so much work and not enough resources to do that work. Because at this rate that we're going, how much work men are demanding of their female partners, it's going to be another 75 years before we get a break. So it's not if men who do not want to change are not going to change. Don't stick around and wait for them to change. It takes a will to change, right? Bell hooks, a whole book about that, men. Go read it, among others. 75 years before men do half the work. And like I say a lot on here about sleep, a lot of women's headaches come down to sleep. And why are women sleeping bad? Men who have sleep apnea and snore and won't deal with it and won't go sleep on the couch and won't sleep in another room, just don't want to deal with it. This is who pays the price. I'm telling you, these men who will not change who have no desire to change, who just want to exploit you and be on cruise control because the wedding was the finish line and now they're done, those men are going to slowly unalive you. Sometimes quickly, sometimes the slow route. But if you keep finding yourself sick and you are living with a man who's making your life harder, that man is literally taking years off of your life. Years with your children and your grandchildren. If you're child-free like me, years with your nieces and nephews, and years with your friends, years with yourself, years living your life the way you are supposed to be able to do. If only men weren't so maliciously refusing to let go of power and control. This is a life and death issue. That is why I talk about it so much. I'm tired of seeing my friends get sick. I lost both my grandmas way before my grandfathers. And I myself was very sick from dating one dude for less than a year. Do not take this stuff lightly. Unless you believe in the afterlife or something, this is your one shot. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for the people you love, because you're robbing them of a future with you too.